Good afternoon. I'd like to open up a special board meeting for Thursday, April 9th, 2026 for the Toledo Public Schools Board of Education. Treasurer, could you please call the roll, please?
Mr. Vasquez. Here. Mr. Parker. Here. Mrs. Barkley.
Here.
Ms. Barnes.
Present.
Mrs. Gerken.
Here. Dr. Trainer, Commissioner Vision?
Yes, keep it as provide innovative and educative opportunity that ensure each student prepare for the future, educate our each and every student to lead and live a purpose-driven life. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to request a motion to enter into executive session for one, to consider the employment of a public employee or official, and fourth reason, number two, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mrs. Barkley.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. Thank you. This may be over. Okay, I'd like to request a motion to reconvene in executive session, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Barkley.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to share some news regarding our leadership team. Our treasurer, Ryan Schulte, has decided to step down from his position effective July 1st. I'm asking for Bishop and Parker to go ahead and read the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. The acceptance of resignation of Treasurer CFO. Whereas the Board of Education of the Toledo Public Schools has received the written resignation of Brian S. Schulte, who currently serves as Treasurer and CFO of the district. Whereas Ryan S. Schulte has indicated his resignation will be effective July 1st, 2026. Whereas the Board of Education wishes to formally accept his resignation. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo Public Schools that Section 1, the resignation of Ryan S. Schulte, Treasurer CFO, is hereby accepted, effective July 1st, 2026. Section 2, this board finds and determines that all formal actions of this board relating to the adoption of this resolution were taken and that all deliberations of the board that resulted in those formal actions were held in meetings open to the public in compliance with the law. Under Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force effective from and immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Do you have a motion? So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I just want to say thank you, Ryan, for all your work you have done for Toledo Public Schools on behalf of the board, students, and families, because I kind of represent all three. I can never understand numbers, and I will never try to, but I know that you did your best to make sure that we had what was needed to provide for our students in our community. And I appreciate you, and I hope you know that you are valued. You are still going to be valued after, and it showed how you receive national and state awards for your outstanding, I will say, accounting numbership stuff that you do. So I just want you to know, we are definitely going to be sad to see you leave. But I want to say I'm happy to see you say yes to yourself and your family, and hopefully you will be able to spend time resting, knowing that you did a very good job.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Anyone else?
Madam President, thank you so much, Mr. Schulte, for your years of service with TPS and the great work that you have done. We are better because of your time here in this house. We wish you great success moving forward. Enjoy your family.
Yeah, I just get my thanks to Mr. Stichel for everything he contributes.
Right, I learned a lot from you. One of the first couple of years I was on the board, we had to hire a treasurer, which is a Herculean task, if I pronounce that right. So I'm not looking forward to getting into that process again, but I think we're going to hear more about that here in a moment too. Just thank you for your service to public education in all of the years that you've worked.
Thank you for your dedicated service over the course of years. It's hard to believe that we're at this point right now. I remember when we first came in and came on board. You've certainly been a vital member of the leadership team, so we thank you for your service. In particular, we want to recognize how instrumental you've been in highlighting the challenges facing school districts today because of the continuing mandates and legislative changes that come from the state and federal officials, specifically the pressure on public ed and the result of financial disparities. And, you know, your work with OSBA, which I particularly, they've been great assets for our advocacy efforts, so I certainly appreciate that. But from a personal standpoint, I have learned a great deal from you. Financial, for the school, the public school financial forecast and just understanding behind the scenes of the numbers. You know, I think the first couple times that I was on finance committee, I went home and probably cried myself to sleep thinking, OMG, what am I doing? And you have been really a wealth of information, and I can call you at any time and say, okay, let's talk about this. Let me understand this. And so I appreciate that collaborative spirit, and I appreciate just you willing to, you know, sit down with a parent of the district at the time and just explain things out to somebody that did not go to school for financial forecasting. So I appreciate that, and we are going to miss you. With that, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mrs. Barkley,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to make a resolution authorizing the engagement of the Ohio School Boards Association to conduct a treasurer search. Whereas pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 3313.22, the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District Board is required to appoint a treasurer to serve as the chief fiscal officer of the Toledo City School District. And whereas the board anticipates a vacancy in the office of treasurer and desires to conduct a professional competitive search process for qualified candidates. And whereas the Ohio School Boards Association, OSBA, offers professional executive search services for Ohio school districts, including services related to the recruitment and selection of school district treasurers. And whereas the board desires to engage OSBA to assist the board in conducting a search for a treasurer for the district while retaining full authority over all final hiring decisions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District that 1, the board hereby authorizes the engagement of OSBA to provide professional search services in connection with the recruitment and identification of candidates for the position of treasurer of the district. OSBA services shall include those customarily provided in connection with the treasurer search as agreed upon by the board and OSBA, subject to any applicable contractual terms approved by the board. The board president or the president's designee is authorized to execute any agreements or documents necessary to effectuate this engagement, provided that any expenditure of district funds shall be subject to applicable fiscal and legal requirements. Nothing in this resolution shall be construed to delegate the board's statutory authority to appoint a treasurer. The selection, appointment, contract terms, and compensation of any treasurer shall remain solely within the discretion of the board and shall require separate board action. 5, the resolution and the engagement authorized herein shall be implemented in compliance with applicable provisions of Ohio law, including but not limited to Ohio Revised Code chapters 3313 and 5705. 6, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this board in compliance with all applicable and legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Mrs. Barkley.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mrs. Kirby.
Yes.
Okay, just a comment before we move on to discussion items. So looking ahead, our priority is to ensure a seamless transition. We're officially opening the search for a new treasurer starting tomorrow, April 10th, with a goal to review all applications by May 11th. We hope to have a new member hired by June 1. Full details on the application process and candidate requirements will be included in follow-up notes from today's session. And again, we certainly thank Brian for his commitment to the district and wish him the very best. With that, we're going to move to discussion items. And, well, actually, we're already in discussion items. What am I talking about? So at this time, I'd like to entertain any further discussions from board members. Yes?
First, I just want to thank you for your leadership. I know this has been a whole lot to hold together the whole idea of bringing a transformation plan into existence by the 15th and then being also tasked with putting together this timeline, creating a treasurer. I really do recognize your working night and day on it. And if you indulge me just a few questions for me to understand between you and Mr. Galt, possibly Mr. Gant, to help understand the remaining process steps, what's coming, right? Like what's coming between now and the 15th. You originally gave us the goal, or gave the superintendent I guess deadline to have a transformational plan ready for us by the 15th. So I'm just want to work backwards from the 15th a little bit to understand what's going to happen when. And at the same time, you have your oversight committee that meets again on the 15th, right? So that's happening on the 15th. And then the oversight committee will just kind of take a little breather until we figure out the role of that committee beyond. Okay. So sometime before, assuming we're close to the 15th, board members will be individually briefed on the recommendation of the superintendent, right? So,
Sure. And actually, we could have Mr. Gant probably say a few words just like you did at the oversight committee last night about the step-by-step process.
Okay, yeah, give us the overview and then I'll ask my questions. How's that?
Fair enough. We had an opportunity to talk a little bit about this too as well earlier. There's a couple things that we told oversight that we would go about in terms of this process. One, it's really, and this came up quite candidly from a conversation that we had with staff last night. We can start there. And specifically about how will we know about what's happening, what the recommendation is. That was the question that was raised, I believe. And what we told the staff, what we told oversight yesterday, is that our plan is to make sure, obviously, this board is aware of whatever the plan is. And this is the order of things. That we would make sure that the board understands that exactly what's in the plan. Then we would, then after that, we would make sure our staff are aware. We would, in addition to that, we would try to make sure that the impact of the schools are aware. And what I mean by that, if you're being repurposed, we would like to give you a little special attention there and do that. That we would do that. And then after that, or in that same line, we make sure the community is aware. So we want to make sure our parents, our communities, as fully abreast of what's happening as quickly as possible. And then the oversight, and then media. And no offense to the media, we just felt that be the last kind of that last group that we worry about in terms of making sure that they got the information. There were discussions about how we would distribute that information. I made a commitment or said that we would tell at least our staff and our employees, this is when you're going to get that information out. So we have yet to do that. We plan to do that. And we talked about video, and we talked about other options that we are looking at too as well.
Okay, I'm gonna try to narrow it down a little bit. I understand that it's all still you still have a lot on your plate between now and less than a week from today, right? So board member briefing sometime before, and then everything really becomes public by the time that oversight committee gets it. And I mean, again, media will be welcome to be at that that meeting, right? Because they're going to hear it all. But will there be? So when we talk about impacted schools, I'm concerned about that. The staff in general, impacted schools. I mean, I know there's not enough of you to go door to door to schools and call little quick staff meetings. Is it going to be principals that are going to be asked to communicate to their staffs if it's an impacted school? Is that what you're thinking? And it's particularly worried about impacted schools. I understand everybody needs to know.
Yeah, there's two different things that we got to accomplish. One, we would like, when I use the word like, it can be very difficult to do. We would like to make sure the impacted schools are aware of it before it is anything else. In that order of things. That's what we would like to do. We are talking about how do we go out to those impacted staff sometime afterwards to make sure that we can hear them out, hear the concerns, talk to the community and those things as well. So those are two different ways that we're going to talk to the impacted staff and community.
All right, so I'm seeing those as two different things. One is the notification, right, that you are impacted. And then a second opportunity to spend some quality time with them to fully understand whatever the arrangements are going to be, and to the best of your understanding, when they'll know where they land and all of those things. So two things. One is their notification, and then immediately, as soon as possible, some quality time with each staff.
That was good.
Okay, so I think about the community the same way. They're going to hear it. Obviously, no later than 6 o'clock. No, everybody's going to know no later than 6 o'clock 15, because that's when that public oversight committee is, right? But so general staff, will they get it? I mean, I feel like impacted schools need to hear it before the rest of, and other than the board, impacted schools need to be the next to hear it. If we can flip, if that matters, it's a nuance. I don't know.
No.
Okay, I don't know if it matters, but that's just in what I'm thinking is impacted schools. And then same with the community. When you talk about the community knowing, there's one thing that the community is going to know the minute really impacted schools know, because they're all going to be getting their emails quickly, right? Like, oh my God, our school, you know. So it'll almost become moot unless in between that time there's an official, I don't know, at least statement to the community saying this is what's, who's closing or what we're thinking and where we're going to have some eighth graders. Again, this is all recommendation, so it's still recommendation language at that point, right?
That's correct.
So what we're communicating is the superintendent's recommendation to the board, and what it means to the rest of the world until another 2 weeks go by when we've had our chance to vote on it, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I want to keep the language right. Then the community piece, right? You're gonna, I would like, by the time you get to oversight committee, you to be able to give dates of community meetings to have those conversations like you did, right? Like you had those community meetings all set up, right, for the input, but now,
Just like, yes.
like each school that's impacted, you're gonna go do something in that building and allow the parents to come and that sort of thing?
Going to be communicate the access and how we're going to be communicating with those impacted buildings on that day's plan.
Okay, good, that'll be good. So that at least people will be getting all this news, everything's gonna seem very chaotic, but they know they have something to, like, say, here's where we'll get together, have more, hear more, okay, some more. Okay. So at the oversight committee, when all of this long, full day of other moving parts happen, day and a half, however long it takes, right? What, and you can speak to this probably, Madam President, what does that mean? What's happening there once they get the rest of the whole story? They will have heard it by then, I'm pretty sure.
They may have heard it by then, but the goal of this is, at the end of all of this discussion on the oversight committee, there's already been binders, right, and everything that we have been talking about. The end of it is the transformation plan and what the recommendation is. So the administration is going to present the transformation plan to those members that have dedicated the last couple months through this process. And so it really is just a presentation of the transformation plan. There's no action items from them. They're not going to, they may have some questions, the members may have some questions. Other than that, it is just a presentation.
Sorry, jump real quick. Not a presentation of the transformation plan, but a recommendation.
Correct, yes.
Just one day back.
Yes, the right word, yes.
Also, for the parent notification, I think this is the first time I heard about community meetings happening at the impacted schools about notifications.
Let me be clear. Notifications, this is what's happening. When we say community meetings, really what our traditional pathway is what we do. We would go to that school, let them know that we're going to be at that school, and invite the parents and community in to have discussions on what we're recommending.
But is it really that you can do that between the time of this announcement and our board, or is it going to be after our vote that you really have those more robust conversations?
I think it's going, well, candidly, it's going to be very difficult to do that within that time frame before the 28th. But we will have a date that we would indicate when we would be able to have those conversations.
Madam President, I have. So, my question surrounds a little bit process, but more about definition. So, the oversight committee will get this to next Wednesday, and I see that as an announcement of a recommendation, because if you're saying there's no discussion and there's no then that means, maybe there's some clarification, which is discussion. Okay. So that I'm just mincing words here, maybe, but that is discussion. Okay. And I will tell you, as a board member, by definition, a recommendation is just that. It's a recommendation. So you're going out and telling everybody, which can't be avoided, but let's make sure it's the right word. It's the recommendation. Because as an individual board member, I reserve the right to not accept that recommendation, to change that recommendation, to question that recommendation. So I don't see it as an announcement, okay? Because I don't think in that oversight committee, at least for me, we've gotten to the point where I know what that recommendation is going to be. And we're going to hear it just before the 15th when, it comes to the committee meeting. I don't see that last, and I think you said it, I don't see that last meeting being anything but an announcement, for a presentation. But it's not a discussion. All right?
Well, the members of that committee can certainly ask questions if they need clarification, if they have right questions for administration, or if there's additional recommendations from that committee, they can certainly do that. There's no decision making at that point. This is just a recommendation that is going to be presented.
But I guess to continue my point is let's just follow through. So we got the committee meeting, they make their recommendation, and those individuals who are part of that committee say, you know, I think we got to go in this direction or we got to go in that direction. They're not making the decision. They are making comments on their recommendation for the board to consider. So I think we're missing words between a presentation and a discussion.
I guess part of that brings to mind that's all going to be happening at April 15th table where only one board member is going to be present. And I wonder if for those board members who might be available, we couldn't convert that to a special board meeting so that other board members, if they're available, could participate in the conversations and the questions. I don't know how many other times we're going to really have to do that in a public way. So I wonder if we would consider converting that to a special board meeting so that the full board who is available to participate. And I believe they're not available, right? And that's why I say only one board member, because I already do that. Mr. Vasquez is absent, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know who can make it. My kid's birthday birthday party that day, but I could probably find a way around that if necessary.
I don't know about the other board members, but I feel like it's a committee, right? I may be the only one board member there, but certainly it's open to the public. Anyone can sit in there and listen to the conversation. And, just like last night, you and Mr. Parker were there to listen. There's no deliberation amongst the other board members, but it would be like putting a special board meeting at an HR committee, right? It's the same, and I get it, we've done that, but there's going to be a presentation of a recommendation, and that's it. There may be some discussion from the committee members, but they're not going to vote on anything. They're just giving maybe some opinions and maybe not. Maybe they're just going to hear the recommendation and we're going to call it a day.
Right, and there is a difference for me observing in the galley because I was here and I couldn't ask questions because I'm not part of the committee. And I couldn't possibly offer insights. If someone asked a question, then I might be able to say, okay, I think they meant this. So I think there is some value to having more voices at that final important meeting where it really is the only public-facing meeting where this recommendation is being discussed. Is that it's a public-facing meeting. It's the only public-facing meeting, and there will be members of the committee and a single board member who will be able to participate in that discussion. So if there's another board member who's willing to endorse the idea of turning that into a special board meeting, I would love to hear your insight on that.
I just want to know, so you have a presentation to the committee. The committee say yay, nay, or edit. They don't say yay, nay, or edit. They just listening to what's presented and asking questions. Okay, out of those questions, if it sparked a light bulb into the administration of the person who was presenting, then that goes to where? That edit, that added information or light bulb, wouldn't that go? And now what's the plan for that?
That goes into the minutes that are made public.
Right, but where is it in the process? Like if it's going to, if you, Mr. Dan, I'm gonna pick on you because you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, looking at me. So if you are presenting and somebody from the committee goes, well, hey, if you do this, this will save this dollars. You go, I didn't think of that. where now did that process go of notifying the boards that this is a new way to look at this, and this is also now moving to the formula and get pushed out that way that may affect more students, staff, or may affect less students? Where is that process at this short time, that distance right there? We're already in the rope, so what is that process like at that meeting if something new changed?
I love the question. What I would say, what I would do, since you look at me, looking at you, I would take that information and say, wow, that's a great idea. We need to make sure we tell the board members about that and tell them we would like to make a revision of some sort because this is our needs. We got a date of April 15th and collectively of giving recommendations. I would assume that the board would want us to revise and to advise if there should be something different in that that makes more sense. So that's what I would do. I would say, that's a great idea. Let's make revision of some sort, make sure the board is aware of that, and let them be talking about that before the 28th.
The only one thing I have about, in response to that is that, all right, let's be real. Right? Let's just say you guys make a recommendation in the competition. And, one or more of the board members don't agree because by definition, a recommendation is a recommendation. It's not you're telling us what to do. So, and then we make that revision. We know a lot of this is based on finances. Okay. So we can say, well, we prefer you to do something else, and then that would take away whatever money, finances attached to that recommendation. And you're all going to have to get together, figure that all out, and then call each individual board member again to say, this is what we want to do. And you think you can do it.
So I want to make sure I'm clear on what you're saying. If the oversight committee gave a great idea that we felt we would want to make a recommendation, our responsibility as administration is still to reach that number. So if that number dictates, at least from our assessment, that number that now 26 goes to 23 as a result, that would be a poor recommendation on our part because it doesn't reach that number. So to me, that's part of it. That's part of it.
I appreciate your response because that's the practicality is what we're getting at because if you're right. So let's just say, I don't feel comfortable with this. And you say, well, that's fine, Bob, but where are you going to find $3 million? Okay. And I think that's a very realistic thing. And I'm glad that you said that because that should be your challenge back to me as an individual board member. So I think it's good we're having this because it behooves each board member to say, okay, if the recommendation involves this amount of money, okay, and you want to change it, attach money to it. Okay. Don't just say, well, you know what, I just don't feel good about that. None of us feel good about any of this. But you're going to have to attach money to it. Now, here's the other thing, too, is each individual board member comes from their own perspective, okay, that you all know you've got to deal with. And, my perspective, even if I do come up with a solution that has money, my perspective could be different than somebody else's perspective. Let's just say, I don't know, I fell into a trap last night, naming a school, but so I won't do that now. But let's just say I come up with a idea. I say, I like A, okay? And Ms. Bogert says, well, I'll never vote for that. I like B, and I'm never going to vote for A. In between that short amount of time, we'll have a very short amount of time to figure that out.
Okay, here we go. To piggyback off of that. So, Board Member Vasquez says A, I says B, the committee says C.
The authority is the board.
Yeah.
So y'all haven't come to agree.
What is the purpose? So what is the purpose of the presentation for that if nothing's coming out of it? That's the thing. I think that's what we're missing. I don't know And what's coming out of the committee besides them listening to what we're going to hear and then we're going to make a decision? Where is their buy-in for even doing a committee like that again if they don't have, what's the buy-in?
The recommendation, it's just a recommendation, so it's a suggestion. At the end of the day, it's up to the board.
Right, we have the power, what I'm saying, so that we are, what's the buy-in for us to say, hey, committee members who are key people in our community, come listen to our problems, our solutions, our concerns, help us. But you don't tell us what to do.
Yeah, if I may, what I would say is that it's at the committees, the literary committees, we have talked ad nauseum about a lot of this stuff. They have provided insight. I really do believe their input along with the community's input will be a part of our recommendation. So I think by the recommendation of itself, my hope is they see some of that buy-in, that vestedness of our decision-making process based upon some of the things that they have said and the community has said.
Okay, so where would we, the board members who are not on this oversight committee, knows that? Because even in the binder, the stuff that we had already knew from going to the community meetings and also talking to the administration, but nothing from the oversight committee participant, excuse me. Where would we see what they recommend? Are we going to get another binder?
Look at me, minutes.
Be minutes.
Give me minutes.
Mr. Gann, I have to tell you, I appreciate this conversation. And I appreciate some of the things that you said. And you're right. It's on the board. You said it. Look, it's on you guys' comment free. I love it. You're right. It's on us. And that's a great comment. And I just want to make sure you understand. I respect this conversation.
Now, at this time, is there anyone from the board interested in what Ms. Griffin has proposed?
Is there an opportunity for another board member to sit in on behalf of Mr. Vasquez that night, since it's only, as long as there's only two board members there, that would be a question for attorney.
I'm looking at our lawyer, like they saying, I don't know. So I want to make sure we can.
You would have to take action to substitute him with somebody else for that meeting.
As a board,
Yes.
So I am willing to take on responsibility of sitting in for Mr. Vasquez, if the board would indulge me in that.
I would like to make a motion to assign Board Member Taylor Durkin in the seat of Bob Vasquez Board Member Vasquez for the committee, what's it called?
Transportation Oversight Committee for
The Transportation Oversight Committee 2.0 for the meeting on April 15th.
second,
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No, hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
yeah,
Mrs. Barlow.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
so
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
yeah.
Mrs. Barlow.
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Mrs. Gerken.
Yes.